And they've tried to get me to run several times, and I said, I hate to be a
I just got a notification we're live.
You went live.
My phone just told me.
Your microphone's on as well.
Yes, thank you.
You can press the red button if you don't want it on yet.
You didn't answer my text. You want me to go ahead and start? Okay, yep. Let's call to order the City of Osage Beach Planning Commission meeting on April 14th. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's do roll call.
Okay. Chairman Ebling,
Yes?
Mayor Harmison. Here. Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Blair. Here. Commissioner Schuster.
Here.
Commissioner Hagedorn.
Here.
Commissioner Couts. And Commissioner McKay. Here. Commissioner Osteen.
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the March 10th, 2026 meeting unless there's any changes or anything to the minutes.
Motion
Nope,
approved.
nothing for me.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor to approve? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Approved. Do you want me to read? What do you think, Carrie?
Yeah, I would go ahead and read it
Okay.
tonight.
All right, so before we get started with new business, I'm going to read what the mission is of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission is a board of volunteers that is appointed by the mayor and the Board of Aldermen. Its function is to review and make recommendations to the Board of Aldermen on matters concerning development, the land use code, and the zoning map of the City of Osage Beach, including amendments and changes thereto. Recommendations will be made with consideration of conformance to the Osage Beach Municipal Code along with the following: relatedness of the proposed amendment to goals and outlines of the long-range physical plan of the city, existing uses of property within the general area of the property in question, the zoning classification of property within the general area of the property in question, the suitability of the property in question to the uses permitted under the existing zoning classification, and the trend of development, if any, in the general area of the property in question, including changes, if any, which would have taken place in the present zoning classification. Our goal in regulating is to provide adequate provision for transportation, water, sewer, schools, parks, and other public needs, including safety, health, and general welfare, light, and air, while conserving the values of buildings and property through encouraging the most appropriate use of the land within the municipality. The first order of business, new business tonight is special use permit case 418, a request by GT Interest LLC for a recommendation to approve a special use permit to allow residential development in a commercial zone.
Are you ready for me, Chairman? Yes, Chairman Ebling, members of the commission. So this is a request that is very similar to what we've seen the last couple of times that we've been in with the Ellerman case, in that we're talking about a piece of property that is second tier from a commercial arterial, being Highway 42. This particular piece is right down at the very edge of town. It's 5.8 acres. It's zoned general commercial, as most of Highway 42 is. But this is certainly a piece of property that, being where it's located off of the frontage of Highway 42, can either be a high-density residential type of use or a commercial use. And when I say commercial use, you would be talking about something more along the lines of storage or something like that. In this case, the owners of this property also own the frontage properties that are on Highway 42, and they're going to keep those properties commercial while, as part of this request, giving the ingress and egress to this particular property from the frontage instead of off of Norwood. So basically what they're asking for is the ability to build a minimum of 50 units in a triplex type of development. What we're requiring is a maximum of 50 units. Okay, and as they go in there, and if they find things are more difficult and they can't do that many units, that would be fine. We're using the R3 requirements for zoning and for construction. So with the 50 units and this being property that they own and are willing to do this with, I would recommend approval with the requirements that I put in my report.
All right. Cole, I assume you're okay with this?
Legal approves.
Okay. Is the applicant here a representative that wants to speak on this at all? Come forward, sign in, and give us your name, please.
Yeah, so my name's Luke Thompson, and this property my mom's owned, I think, for 12 years. I actually used to have a trailer on there, sat in the back. I'm from this area, from kindergarten through high school, and what we're trying to do on this property and this opportunity is make it more affordable housing or more accessible housing. I've got a lot of friends still in this area, and it's a need. And so how we're thinking of accomplishing this is using kind of a unique construction method of using modular builds to really keep costs low, because I know there's been a lot of other special use permits and other new developments here that have not really been at a rent level that's accessible to the local labor community, and that's something we're really trying to achieve with this property. And I think, Carrie, thanks a lot for all the help thus far in getting this through. And I guess just to reaffirm something, I think it fits a maximum of 50 units that I think Matt Marshy, who's not here today, but we're working with, I think we're going to try to phase it and do probably 12 units at first, see if the market supports it, make sure that the economics check out. If that's successful, we will continue to expand and hopefully, again, bring more affordable and accessible housing to the local community. So that's the goal of this property. Any questions?
Right. Anybody have any questions for him? Alan?
I mean, I think Carrie answered it. You said that they were going to provide ingress, egress from.
Through the property through the property they have on the 42 frontage back to this property.
Which they also own, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's,
Who maintains Norwood?
Norwood,
City?
that's actually a county road. Norwood is the absolute extent of the city. Everything, basically, if you're on Norwood, everything left is city, and everything right, including Norwood, is out of the city.
I mean, there'd have to be, that's not suitable right now to.
Yeah. That would only be, a emergency entrance for this development, if even that. But they will provide an easement across their 42 frontage properties that will include the ingress and egress to this development.
Any other questions from commissioners? Bill?
Is there any traffic concerns?
not that has been identified at this time, no.
So there is no possibility of, I have not been out to Norwood to look at it, but there's no possibility, because in here it says access shall be derived from both Highway 42 and Norwood?
It'll have access to Norwood, but that will be a secondary access at most.
Because that one's not on the curve of 42, so that might be a better safety. Seems like it could be a safety issue depending on how many units you wind up with and how much traffic.
If it gets to be an issue, we'll handle it at that time. But at this time, it is off of the thoroughfare. I don't see an issue with it currently. But if it does get to 50 and we're seeing problems, then we'll address it at that point. You know, it could be a situation if they are seeing that type of development and want to do their maximum amount, that then we start discussing improvement of Norwood at least to the property so that it can serve.
Is there any kind of formula about like this many apartment units is this increased amount of trips a day or, over the course of, is there some?
There is a formula, Luke, but it's not going to get anywhere close on Highway 42. Highway 42 is a major thoroughfare and a state highway, so it is well beneath. If it was a local street or something like that we were talking about that is, highly has a high level of trips per day or something like that, we would have to look at it, but Highway 42 is not anywhere close to capacity at this point.
And kind of in the same vein, but a different kind of formula probably. In Marshke's letter, he talks about the sewer. He specifically says it's a bit of a pump. I guess my question is.
That's because it's a long way, out there from where we are. And the basics of that is, Luke, is while we approve these type of requests, ultimately, once they're approved and they come in to do their development, finding the ability and the capacity for sewer and water and any other services is on the developer between them and us.
Any other questions for him? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here in the audience to speak in opposition of this request or in favor of? Okay. If nothing further, I would entertain a motion. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, rezoning case 428, a request by Grand Teton Mountain LLC and Jessica Pruitt for recommendation to approve a rezoning from R3, which is multifamily, and C1, which is general commercial, to full C1 with an E3 overlay amendment. Carrie?
Yeah, sorry about that mouthful, Chairman. This is a request. Obviously, you can take a look at it and see what we're looking at, but the basics of the rezoning itself is that the R3 portion of the request is the property owned by Ms. Pruitt, falls behind her residence. It is zoned R3 multifamily, just like her home is actually zoned R3. The rest of the property is completely encompassed by the applicant's properties. What they are doing is the R3 property that Ms. Pruitt owns will become the parking lot for the hotel that has interest in locating in this location. Obviously, the hotel is locating there because they want to take advantage of the activities that go on in Backwater Cove. The reasoning that we are putting the E-overlay around the hotel, which might interest you, is because the hotel and where they want to locate is in the buffer area of the E3 overlay for the amphitheater that is there. So if you're wanting to be in the buffer area and you're in the buffer area, what needs to be done to protect both the hotel and the Pruitts, both Backwater Jacks and Level 5, I always forget the name of the place, but you go ahead and locate them within the E-overlay because the E-overlay and uses within the E-overlay district can't hurt other uses within the E-overlay district. So the basics of it is, and I'll read this to you, it's sound control regulations established for the E3 overlay district and by Chapter 220 will only apply to properties and uses outside of the E3 overlay district that are impacted by the uses within the overlay district. Maximum permissible sound levels by receiving land, okay? Boy, I pulled a Joe Biden on that one. That's for the next deal. But the basics of it is that once you have people in the hotel, if they don't like the sound, which I'm not sure why they would be in that hotel knowing what's down there, they cannot call the police for a nuisance or noise pollution issue on the surrounding properties because they will be within the E overlay zone. So what Cole, as the prosecutor, will tell the police department is don't take noise complaints from the hotel. They know what they're getting into when they're there. And the basics of it is, for you to understand, is this was something that both the hotel prospective owners and the Pruitts wanted to do to protect themselves from it. So with that being the case, I would recommend approval of this request based on the regulations that I provided in the report.
I don't see the applicant. Is there any representative here? Oh, I didn't see you, Andy. I'm sorry, you were in the back.
If you have questions, yes, if not, Gary, I think did a good job of explaining what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you, Andy. Do any commissioners have a question for Andy Pruitt regarding this? Luke?
I don't know if it's for Andy or Carrie, whoever, but one of the concerns about not developing it for, for homes, residential homes, is because of the topography and the accessibility and getting stuff in and out. What about?
And the proximity to a very large bar.
Yeah.
Right, all of that. But what about emergency vehicles? If you're putting that many more people there, can fire trucks and ambulance get in and out and all that stuff?
They'll be required to, obviously, on the site, they'll have to meet all code requirements, and this is why we required Beach to be reconstructed to a commercial collector street.
Cool.
Any other questions from commissioners? Is there anyone in the audience here to speak in opposition or in favor of this? Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion. Oh, legal counsel, you good with this?
Yes, I'll just add that this is something we worked out with the Pruitts, and I did speak to the counsel for the hotel developer. This was something we worked out to make sure that their goals could all be accomplished and that we wouldn't be getting noise complaints from folks who took a hotel
Yeah.
room next to level 5.
Perfect, so everybody's on board?
Yeah.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, next. Rezoning case 429, a request by PKM LLC and OCP LLC for recommendation to approve a rezoning from C1B, which is commercial lodging, to C1 general commercial. Carrie?
Yes, Chairman Ebling, members of the commission. I think this is the case that we've got all these lovely folks here tonight to talk about, so they'll be coming up a little bit later. I spoke to them a bit prior, and I think they've got some handouts and stuff, so I'll go through this relatively quickly so that we can start hearing from all of them. This is a request by PKM and Ozark Capital Partners LLC to rezone a portion of this property from C1B, which is commercial lodging, to put it simply, hotel, motel, resort, or condominium development. That's what C1B is. To C1, which is our general commercial. The situation behind this is you have a piece of property that I mentioned in the report that I gave you for this request, that there was a request that was similar for pieces of this property that was done back in 1997. At that time, we didn't have an expressway, we didn't have an interchange, we didn't have the Oasis, we didn't have a lot of the things that we have today, but now we do. This particular piece of property, which basically is the frontage property along Jeffries Road, and then it extends back off of Jeffries Road approximately 270 feet. So you basically have that front block that this is actually a request for. In this situation, one thing that I would say is that the comprehensive plan does call for high-density residential because there was an assumption, I suppose, that it would be condominium development at some point. I'm sure that the folks that have the houses down on the lakefront don't want that to happen either. But quite candidly, the only reason that the property on the frontage makes sense to remain C1B is if all of the properties were together. Because with, just over an acre to only be allowed a hotel, motel, condominium, or, a resort, that's probably not quite enough property. The issue is that the circumstances surrounding this particular piece of property, which is they're 200 feet from the interchange, which will be 200 feet pretty soon from a stoplight on an interchange. completely surrounded on all sides except for the property between them and the lake by C1 General Commercial Properties and Uses. This is directly across the street from what will be the 1,000-car parking garage and the Marriott Hotel along with the Oasis. It is a very, very intense portion of property. And at some point in the relative near future, Jeffries Road will be rebuilt by the city to a commercial collector. Part of the TIF that we had with Oasis was to accept $1 million from them in order to do, help assist reconstruction of Jeffries Road in the future. So with that in mind and all of those conditions in mind, I would recommend approval of this request.
Is the applicant or representative here that would like to come up and speak about this? Okay. Please come up and sign in and.
Chris Kirsten. I think Carrie gave a pretty good briefing of what we're looking for and asking for, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, do you have questions for him?
I'm guessing you weren't here in 97 when you weren't the owner, so I guess this is more for Carrie. What happened in 97 when they tried to rezone, and what was the?
Well, in 97, it wasn't exactly this portion. What I will say is that in that request, the request went all the way on the side of the property, went all the way down to next to the properties on the lakefront, whereas this one does not. It didn't pass at the time, but what I will say is the circumstances surrounding this property have changed massively since 1997.
Okay.
Any other questions?
If you're doing the top portion as C1 and keeping the other as C1B, what are your future plans for that?
Well,
If you're keeping the top portion as C1 but still.
Angie,
leaving the
turn on
bottom
your microphone and
as
put it by your mouth.
C1B, what are your plans for that?
we don't have a plan right now. We'll obviously market it out for restaurant use or some higher, better use in the C1 or C1 district. Basically, we don't have an immediate plan right now for it.
What about the remaining C1B that's behind it?
We'll leave that as a buffer back there and do probably the hotel condo or to the backside and leave the buffer, the C1B between the residential houses and the C1.
And what about the existing road that goes right through the middle of it?
Excuse me?
What about the existing road that goes right through the middle of it? Is that not on? Sorry.
Say that again.
What about the existing road that goes right through the middle of it currently?
There's a ingress, egress easement there that's 25 feet. We've approached the owners to try and redo the road, move it. They weren't interested in doing that, so it'll remain where it's at.
Okay.
So,
And then I guess I have a timeline question, because as Carrie mentioned, that's slated to be a commercial collector at some point. Like, that development, all the other development that's going on, is that gonna, at some point, is there a sequence of events kind of planned out? We're gonna do this, then this, and this to create the less,
You mean by us?
I guess the team, everybody, is there any kind of coordination between what the city's gonna do with what the developer's gonna do to make it the least amount of congestion over the course of the next couple of years when the.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yes, I mean, we've got.
believe you.
We had a complete corridor study done, traffic study done with the Oasis, which is why we got the $1 million for development of Jeffries Road. to be honest, past the hotel, it's not one of those things where we know at this point, and it may be something that we don't have to put, a ton of width or anything. What we do know is that we'll need to put a sidewalk down Jeffries Road at some point, and we'll have to do some beefing up in certain locations. But where this is located, currently, there's plenty of capacity, and also will be controlled by the stoplight at the interchange.
Cool.
So to add to some history on that, on the Oasis part, the original Oasis agreement in 2023 had the developer was responsible for building a sidewalk and a stoplight, but the sidewalk was along Jeffries. And then there came questions of when they added some impact, and there were questions about, well, why are we building a sidewalk on both sides if this side's going to develop? Are we going to put in a sidewalk and then rip it out when we have to go make access for all these parcels that might develop? And so the agreement we reached with the developer didn't want this open-ended liability for, well, I have to build a sidewalk, or I don't want to waste money on a sidewalk that's going to get torn out. And so we just reached an agreement on, look, it's just going to be $1 million, and the city will spend that money how the city feels is appropriate to coordinate. Kind of like we did with Osage Beach Road, we left a little piece out on the new reserve building because they were in the process of constructing a building, and we didn't want to put in a sidewalk to have it ripped out. So it maintained flexibility for development, but really we didn't want all that work to be done while construction was ongoing. And so this preserves the city's flexibility financially to spend that money where it makes the most sense.
Understood.
And I mean, that we also, are well aware of a number of, future developments down Jeffries Road that are going to likely take place beginning within the next year. So all of those things are, taken into mind when we look at and make decisions on Jeffries Road itself and its situation.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to stand up and speak in opposition or in favor of this project? If so, come up, sign in.
Hello, I'm Matt Tipton. I was one of the engineers that worked on the project. Carrie stated well our intent with the project. And I was going to say about the sidewalk, since that's been a discussion that, we left space on our site plan for a sidewalk to be there. And I was wondering if you had any questions on it. I've been going through the project with my boss, Matt Marshke. He was sick today.
Yeah, Matt could not be here. He's not feeling well, but Matt can answer any questions regarding plans, engineering, that kind of thing from anybody. Okay, thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else like to come up and speak? Come on up. Tell us your name and sign in, please.
Okay, my name's Kurt Crispin. My house is on Sun Circle, which is the street that you're talking about that goes right there to the middle of this development. The packet of information you're receiving, it has the minutes from the December 96 Planning Commission meeting in which another developer wanted to put a parking lot on this property and change the zoning to C1. We opposed it then. We oppose it now. The current developer presented to us a plan that would be a 300-car parking lot, and it would be paid for parking only. The covenants of the neighborhood restrict businesses for profit on Bennett subdivision, and that's in book 2, page 56 in Camden County. So again, we feel that changing to C1 will overrule our covenants of no for-profit business on Bennett subdivision. There's also, with the application that was submitted for changing, sorry, I have a medical condition that makes me tremor. I believe it's question 15 that states that does the developer know of any restrictions or covenants of the neighborhood that would restrict the zoning or just change the zoning? There is that covenant, like I just said, that restricts for-profit business on Bennett's property. And again, it's book 2, page 56 in Camden County, recorded. Let's see. So, and also, you know, like I said, the developer said that he didn't know of any covenants or any rulings. He checked no on that application that he should have received in his, let's see, sorry. It is the, in his title commitment papers, he should have received these covenants that restrict the for-profit business. And that's what we're here to stop, or try to stop, is for-profit business on Bennett. That's all I got.
Thank you. Don't forget to sign in.
Can I just address that? So, just so you're clear, sir, and your neighbors, zoning and covenants are two separate things. Our zoning will not overrule your covenants. Your covenants still stay in place, and no matter what the planning commission and what the board do, your covenants stay in place. We can't take those away from you. And so if your covenants prohibit something that zoning allows, then that you still have those rights. Those are private rights to you. And the city is just altering the zoning. So even now, it's zone C1B for a hotel, essentially. Mm-hmm. So our zoning would permit a high-rise hotel there. But if your covenants don't permit that, then he can't build a high-rise hotel there. So they're two separate issues. And that's this decision is just about the zoning, and that's ultimately between you and him.
And it would be something that you all would fight in court. We don't have any, ability to enforce that.
That's a private contract ultimately between the owners of the land.
Okay. All right.
And our current zoning would permit a hotel, and if you're correct about your covenants, I haven't seen your covenants obviously, but if you're correct about your covenants, a hotel wouldn't be permitted there either.
Okay, in the packet I handed out, there is a plot for Bennett subdivision, and on that plot is the covenants written there. It's a little bit hard to read, but it's there. And like I said, the minutes from 1996, when the zoning commission or planning commission denied the zoning change, are there.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Well, could you repeat what you were saying? It's kind of hard to hear you over here.
Sure. So zoning and covenants are two different things. Zoning is public, covenants are private. The current zoning of the property is C1B, which would permit a high-rise hotel. It would permit a Marriott or a Hyatt or a Hilton. If the covenants don't permit it, then that's a matter of contract between the landowners of that property. So if our current zoning permits a hotel, but their private covenants do not, then that's a civil matter between the different landowners. It's something that can be worked out in contract. And so the same would be true even if it's rezoned C1. That doesn't alter the covenants. If the covenants don't permit the C1 use, then that's a matter of private contract, and the city has no say in that one way or another.
It's between the homeowners and the developer. It has nothing to do with us.
It's a civil matter. So it's as of now, it's still zoned commercial, even though, I haven't read the covenants, but we have quite a few this would hardly be the only place in town where we've got covenants that are inconsistent with the zoning. And but at the end of the day, that would simply be a matter of contract, something for them to work out or not work out between themselves as they so choose.
And it was never addressed when it was zoned, maybe it's current zoning, no one ever addressed that.
I have absolutely no idea.
And it may be a rhetorical question.
I mean, so that was,
I gotta ask.
I did legitimately try to figure out why this one subdivision was the only thing on Jeffries Road, literally between Osage Beach Parkway and like the little houses out on the end are the only thing zoned residential. Everything else, except for Bailey subdivision, is zoned general commercial and was done originally, and for some reason, that subdivision was done C1B, which I suppose I could work it out in my head if they would have, you know, done some sort of single family, because they did it because there were single family houses down, but they didn't. They put one of our most intense, you know, commercial zonings on it, which is, you know, basically it is what it is. I don't think they did these folks any favors by making it C1B, because, you know, what was going to happen and what was foreseen on that, you know, corridor is happening.
Yeah.
You know, it has been known for some time that it was going to be, once the highway came through, that it was going to be a very commercial setting on Jeffries Road in that interchange. And, you know, the situation that we are looking at here is from the perspective of what our uses are and our zoning is, what is the best for the property that we're looking at tonight. And, you know, candidly, if the properties that these folks own was all under the hands of one person, including what we're looking at tonight, well, then maybe it makes sense, and maybe they wouldn't be looking for a rezoning because they could put a condo or a hotel or something like that there. At this point, you know, you're looking at a piece of property owned by multiple individuals, and the one that we're looking at tonight that doesn't have the size or the suitability for anything that it is allowed to do in the C1B zone. And it's certainly not a situation that if somebody came in and asked to rezone that whole area to single family, I wouldn't recommend approval of that either, because I wouldn't put people in the middle of what they're going to have there. It's a situation now where you've got the Oasis on one side, the old Calfran property is all zoned general commercial, and I can tell you that we are talking to the owners of that about development, pretty high-end and intense development there, which we've been knowledgeable of at the time that we did the traffic study, knowing that something was going to go there. So the intensity in that corridor is doing nothing but increasing, and which is why I've brought to you a recommendation to approve commercial, you know, general commercial on this particular piece of property.
If I could readdress after that.
No, sir, I'm sorry. You can't. Thank you.
No, okay.
Is there anyone else who would like to come up and speak? And I forgot to remind, you have 2 minutes to speak.
My name's Pam Nelson, and we live at Sun Circle, obviously. One of my questions, Cole, was that's on the plat that states no for profit.
That would still be,
It's a civil matter, ma'am. It has nothing to do with zoning.
yeah, that doesn't,
Correct.
that doesn't
On the
affect zoning, yeah. I mean, I don't want to take your 2 minutes also.
Okay. Okay, you know, he came to us about the roadway, and we turned that down. We felt that was not a good choice for us to give up our road. His plan at that time, what was presented to us, was a parking garage, not anything about what you're talking, motels or anything else. It was a parking garage. Well, I have grandkids get off the bus, and would you want your grandkids walking by a parking garage every day? I mean, it just doesn't seem feasible to where we live. We're down on the water, enjoying the water, and we'd like to keep the top looking better. When we first moved there, there was Lakeport, Oasis, had all the trees, that's all demolished. Mr. Kirsten came in and demolished all the trees beside our property. Now Calfran's demolished all the trees. This piece we're talking about tonight is the only spot left with trees above our properties, and is just totally changing everything around us. We're worried about drainage and everything else from all of the work that they're going to be doing. So we ask that you do not do that. There are 5 of our homes back there. We all oppose this, and we'd like you to take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to sign in.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just point out that the C1B includes the homes that are there. So if somebody were to assemble, say, all 5 homes and the property, they could build a hotel on the home sites right now. It's
Right.
the homes are prior non-conforming.
Would someone else like to come up and speak? Please sign in and state your name.
Okay, my name is Charlie Bonte. I'm in the Marcy's subdivision, which is basically a rename of Bennett subdivision that was developed back in 1949. So this is very disappointing as a homeowner there to hear everything that's going on because of the value of the houses if you change. So I'm totally against rezoning, although take what you have, what I've learned tonight from you as well, that that's a private issue with the owner or the buyer. So I'm really concerned about the property value. I'm not in favor of the condos that's being proposed. I'm against that. There's no age limit for a one-night stand. I'm a little concerned about the noise level. And then I'm totally against the parking lot that was showing above our ground of 300 parking spaces that's going to be used for profit, gains in profit as well, and especially when there's going to be a 1,000-car parking lot on the Oasis, it's going to be parking for free there. So it does not totally make any sense to me to have a parking lot on our side. As far as our road goes, there is a quick deed set for that road for ingress and egress. I do have that information on that as well. That was recorded in Camdenton. It was recorded on April 3rd, 1979, book 19 on page 39. I just want to let you know that as well, that the road is very important to us, that we maintain that road. And again, I'm against the proposed plan of changing the zoning to the C1. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to sign in if you didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention.
Just want to make sure that everyone understands that we have absolutely nothing to do with the road, okay? Like every other development that we look at with situations like this, and the vast majority of them do, if there's a road involved and you've got property owners involved, then it's between them. It's up to the person that wants to do the development to work those things out with the other owners. If they can't get that done, they can't get that done. Typically, there always seems to be a way that it happens. I don't know if it's money or whatever, but whatever it is. As far as the parking lot and the condos that the gentleman brought up, we're not looking at that tonight. We don't have plans for any of those things. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure. Well, a commercial parking lot can go in a commercial zone. As far as the condos go, unfortunately, wherever that may come in is already zoned C1B, so it would be capable of getting a building permit tomorrow if they had plans that met all of our code requirements. So I just wanted to, make sure that you understand that regardless of the decision tonight, that has nothing to do and does nothing to encumber their road. They would still, hold the cards on their road. Nobody can just take that from them.
Right.
We're not talking about property lines or roads or right-of-ways or any of that tonight. We're talking about a single unit of property that is, the request that's in front of us.
Commissioners understand that? Have any questions about that? Okay, would anyone else like to come up and speak? Okay. Any other comments from staff?
I have nothing further, Chairman. Do you have anything, Cole?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. No other questions from commissioners? If not, I would entertain a motion. I would remind the commissioners that we are not elected officials. We are appointed, and it is our job to follow the zoning code. I would entertain a motion. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second. Okay, you want to roll call the vote?
Mayor Harmison,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Blair,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagedorn,
Yes.
Commissioner McKay, Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
and then Chairman Edling.
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, final case this evening is rezoning case 430, a request by Lakefront Apartments LLC for recommendation to approve a rezoning from R1B, which is single family, to R3, which is multifamily, with a PUD1 overlay. Carrie, you want to explain this one to us?
Yeah, hold on just a second. I sent our counsel off to let those folks know that the last case will be on the May 7th board
Oh,
meeting.
yes.
So I just wanted
Understood.
to. Okay, so real quick, I wanted to bring your attention there. One of the many pieces of paper I put in front of you tonight was a piece of paper that had a portion of the requirements for this case with red lettering on it. That is a floor amendment to what I had sent you earlier. And I will get into that here in a second, once we get a little bit further along. Make sure everything kind of clears up here. Okay, so Chairman Eveling, members of the commission, this is a request by Lakefront Apartments LLC. It's approximately 140 feet off of Zebra Road on Links Road. Their request is to rezone the subject property from R1B single family to R3 with a PUD1 overlay to allow 48 apartment-style dwelling units on 3.86 acres of land. This is a situation to where if you were able to get out there, and those of you that have been around for a while, understand that there is an apartment complex that has been out at the end of Stewart for quite some time. I was actually here when it was still called Wamaka Oaks Apartments. And this particular piece of property that goes along with this is part of that property and always has been. The request that they have put in front of us today is for 4 new buildings with 12 units apiece. I can tell you that I've been working with this group for quite some time to get something suitable. We have removed a number of units because the comprehensive plan calls for moderate density. And density is density. Density is not the type of housing that we're talking about, but moderate density, as it is defined by our comprehensive plan, is 6 to 13 units. The request that they have in front of you today is just over 12 units per acre. And it's got the typical requirements that I always put on these things, so I won't bore you with going into all of those. But of course, one of the things that it requires, and the most important part of this, I think, because it functionally is going to be the vast majority of the cost input from the developer from a public perspective, is that access shall be derived from approved entrances on Links Road. Links Road is required to be improved to a hard surface roadway as required for existing local streets. The roadway improvement will need to be completed and approved by the city prior to certificates of occupancy being issued for individual dwellings. And now the new portion that I added, which is at the time Links Road is completed, the developer will have installed an impassable gate on the primary entrance to the development from Stewart Drive. And so the ideology behind that is you put a gate in. The people that that have been using Stewart to access the apartment will no longer be using Stewart. So we take, 80% of the traffic that Stewart sees going to the apartment and completely remove it because they can no longer access the development from there. There is a secondary entrance on Stewart that accesses one building and one parking lot, and as much as I went through it, I couldn't find a way to make that not happen because of building locations and topography, but that's legitimately 4 of 31 units that would remain. Obviously, this is a situation to where once gated and once Links Road is reconstructed into a city local street with a sidewalk, that will focus, all, if not the vast majority of the traffic that would be going to this development to Links Road. The property itself is in a location that is, obviously it's in a transition area. If you look at kind of how our development pattern is back behind Deerbergs, you can throw a rock from this property and hit the backside of Deerbergs. We're very close to the commercial, and then we've got multifamily kind of as you turn in back behind Ace Hardware, there's multifamily there, and then there's multifamily on Links, and then the single family development falls in between. The property that we're talking about currently zoned single family is not what I would typically tell you to be suitable for single family, and I can, tell you that the fact that it is not developed in 50 years backs that up. It is relatively steep. It requires that somebody make a little bit more money to make it even worthwhile looking and messing with it. It is obviously of vast value to the community to get a new street. I am really excited about getting a lot of that traffic off of Stewart because that is a little bit of a problem down there. And basically, this is something that I think everyone here knows that housing is still, one of our major needs. And we certainly will not, put housing or types of housing in places that they do not belong, but I don't believe that that is the case in this particular situation. It is certainly a transition area. It has density levels that meet the approval of the comprehensive plan and the recommendation of the comprehensive plan. So with the regulations and requirements that I put forth in my report to you, I would recommend approval of this request.
Is the applicant or representative here that would like to come up and speak? Okay, come up, sign in, state your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Marisol Ash, and I am the owner, single member of Lakefront Apartments, and I am proudly here standing with all of you to hear any concerns and also suggestions. I'm very excited about this project. I've been working personally hand-to-hand with the buildings to bring them up to a better standards. I do take a lot of pride on the work that I do with my properties. Those are not the only properties that I manage and I own in the lake. I own quite a few, a lot more, but I like to keep my life very understated. So I am very excited to start working on the other piece of land in there and start seeing a little bit more of a life in there. I only rent to my local people, and to my bartenders, waiters, nurses. I have nurses in there. I have one police officer in there too. And I'm very excited to see because in the last, 3 years, I believe I have made a lot of improvement. It's been a lot of work. But I'm excited to see what more can I do and what more I can have an opportunity from the city to do. My ears are open to hear any concerns, any ideas, any suggestions in which we can work together and make this happen. I know I can tell that there is some family members in here from the stores. I know the traffic is heavy in there because of the apartments, but we're willing to make it work for everybody. I believe that area in there is a very nice area, and it can be better.
Any questions from the commissioners for her?
You mentioned kind of some of your target demographics, the types of folks you're looking to rent to. Just out of curiosity, what kind of price range do you anticipate? I know things can change, and I'm not going to hold you to that, but just...
Well, currently I hold for a one-bedroom, which I have fully remodeled, and I'm talking current ones that I have, is at $975. A two-bedroom, $1,025. My highest price is $1,200. So it is very affordable to the local people. And I also have my standards, okay? It's housing, I gotta keep my housing standards as well, because I cannot discriminate, but they have to meet certain criteria, okay? And matters to that. But other than that, I try to run to the local people close in there. I have people that they work from Hy-Vee as well, Acasa Station. So I try to make it so it works for everybody that is local within the area.
Thank you.
Any other questions for her?
I have a question about traffic. There's going to be additional cars that are going to be coming in there. Right now, that loop, you have to make a right onto the parkway, and then you've got the other access is behind the hardware store. Is that all that's available for these folks?
It's via Stewart, and Links
Yeah.
is not developed right yet.
So
I'm talking about access to the parkway. Like
access to the parkway would be by way of Zebra. The main access, if you're talking about escape access, you also have the Deerbergs lane that goes through.
You can also go up and around and behind and come out by Papo's. There's multiple exits, Tony. I live down there.
Okay, but there's no plans to do anything different with Zebra?
There's no need to.
Okay.
I can tell you from our perspective, Zebra was built as a collector. It's got more than two accesses. There's no necessity for 48. If we were talking, 300, that would be a little bit different situation. But for 48 units, we're good.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you. Don't forget to sign in, please.
Chairman, I just want to real quick, because, I want to address the affordable housing thing, okay? It's not typically something that we necessarily, deal with is how much but I know it's important to people. And, when we have an owner that throws out, specific numbers like that, I know that there's plenty of people out there going, my God, that's not affordable. But I got to tell you, in today's age, the cost of what is considered affordable has substantially gone up from, in my day, affordable was like $325. I think that's what I paid in college for an apartment. And now we're talking about, $1,200. What I don't want to see happen is that the appropriate amount of, respect to be given to these folks that are willing to put that kind of money into a development to even have to charge, $1,200 or $1,300 or $1,400. I know it seems substantial, but they're not robbing people, because we see the costs that they're putting in the ground, and it is a lot. It's a lot. So I just wanted to address kind of the affordable housing thing. This is not coming through as an affordable housing project. They're not getting any federal tax credits. They're not getting any money from anyone. This is all their money. So there's nothing government-wise telling them this is what your rent has to be. So
Right.
I wanted that clear.
Right.
But I'm glad we got to hear about your college apartment.
Yeah, that's all right. You probably stay there too.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor or opposition of this development? Yeah, come on up again.
Hello, yes, Matt Tipton again. I was an engineer on this project as well, and Kerry stated our project nicely. I was also going to say, he mentioned that the project is pretty steep, but we've got a plan to address that. We've like kind of tiered the parking lots so that it all will work out.
Like every other development at the lakes.
Right, yes.
Yeah, that's all. I was here for any questions, but that's really all I have.
Do commissioners have any questions for him as the engineer? Okay, thank you, Matt. Anyone else like to come up and speak? Okay. Okay.
My name is Michael Farmer, and I live down at the end of Stewart. I brought Joe Vernace's old cabin. I just found out about this a couple days ago, so I may not be as informed as I should be. But in regards to the gate, if this passes, does that mean that there has to be a gate, or is the gate up for discussion? Or
No, it's required.
It's required.
They will have to put up a gate that will keep any traffic from entering the project, the main portion of the project from Stewart. So it will take, like I said, there's a secondary lane, which I'm sure you know about, that accesses the one building, and there's no way that I can see to change that and make it available to an interior road like the rest of them.
Okay, so will these new buildings have access to come out?
No.
Okay, so
They will not.
They're not connected at all?
The way that the PUD is written and will be engaged will keep vast majority, all of the traffic from the existing, except the one building, and the new portion will have to use the rebuilt links to get to Zebra.
Okay, all right.
And then there will be a sidewalk, which will take maybe some of the walking traffic out from Stewart.
Well, my only, concern is this is a very transient apartment complex. People are in and out a lot. It's not a long-term lease. We've had some pretty rough characters come through there. The second night we bought our house, somebody came through at 60 miles an hour and did not stop at the end of Stewart, airborne into our pump house. So that's my concern on, the traffic. You talk about the intensity of the traffic, that would make it intense. But if that gate is, non-negotiable,
It is non-negotiable.
addresses that. So, yeah.
If not for the gate, I wouldn't be recommending approval.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, any other questions? Legal counsel, any comments?
Legal approves.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And that is it. If there's nothing further from anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
So do we have any goodies to look forward to coming out of that? As far as
Hey, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
What things to look forward to the meetings on? You know what? Big surprises.
Yeah.
I would say that the situation like